All right, some technical difficulties, but I'm just going forward. The v squares divide out, and the answer is 1. So this is a continuation from part 1. This is keep going, I hope. I'm going to factor first. It doesn't matter what order you go when you factor, so it's negative 3 and positive 5. This is going to be negative 6 and positive 3. And then n plus 8 is prime. Any factor on the top can remove any factor on the bottom. So these are going to remove, these are going to remove, and then whatever's left over is your answer. So 1 times n minus 6, and then n plus 8, and you have your answer. Number 12, step 1 is to factor properly. (16) n squared so make sure we factor correctly, factoring out a greatest common factor. N plus 4, 8 goes into 16 twice, the n squares eliminate, 2 goes into 6 3. It's kind of therapeutic to go and remove things, and that's it. So what's left in the numerator? I see a 3. What's left in the denominator? I see a 5, and there's your answer. Everything else was removable. Number 13. Again, I'm going to factor first what I can. So most of this is not factorable, but I can factor out a 4. And then the p subtract 4 is removable, and that's it. So if I multiply across the top, I have p subtract 9. If I multiply this together, I have 40p squared. Number 14. Step 1 is to factor. As always, I think you should press pause and try it first. Factor out a 9k squared. That's k subtract 3. Factor this out. It's a trinomial. It's negative 3 and negative 9. And now we start eliminating. So k subtract 3 eliminates. 4k squared eliminates. And that's it. So what's left in the numerator is k subtract 9. And in the denominator is 9k squared. K subtract 9 only eliminates with k subtract 9. So that's why these don't eliminate. You can't take half the factor and start crossing out. Number 15. First step is to factor. So we're going to factor out a greatest common factor. So I'm going to factor out a 5p squared here. That's 7p plus 6. Here I'm going to factor out a 5. That's 7p plus 6. And at this step, we can now start removing. So 5 removes, 7p plus 6 removes. This is the fun part. P squared removes. And so what's left is our answer. And I put them beside each other. And there you go. In number 9, again, we're going to factor first. So that's negative 9 and positive 7. The denominator, I'm going to factor out a 9n squared. In the numerator, we have negative 3 and positive 2. In the denominator, we have 7 and 2. And now we start eliminating. So n plus 7, n subtract 3, n plus 2. And so all that's left is n subtract 9 over 9n squared, and it's done. All right, that's multiplying. Now we're going to practice dividing, and this will end the video at number 24. So the key to dividing, up here, number 17, is to multiply times the reciprocal. So the step 1 is to change it to multiplying and change the second fraction by doing the reciprocal. Now we factor if we can. These are monomials, so we can get right to removing. So 3 goes into 6 twice. B makes b squared just a b. And that's it. So 8 times 2 is 16b over 9. In number 18, again, the first step is to change it to multiplying by doing the reciprocal. the r cubes divide out. 2 goes into 4 twice, and that's it. So you multiply across the top and the bottom, and that's what's left. Number 19. First step is to do the reciprocal, change it to multiplying. And then we factor. So in this case, I'm going to factor out an 8. And I'm going to factor out a 5. And then once it's factored, we remove the common factors. And you're left with 8 over p subtract 4. Number 20, again, step 1. And as I do this step, I'm going to factor at the same time. So I have x minus 10, x plus 2. I'm going to do the reciprocal and factor at the same time. And then remove. So we can remove the common factors. These do not remove. X subtract 6 removes with x subtract 6. I can't take out half a factor and remove it. Again, I'm going to do the reciprocal, but as I do that, I'm going to factor at the same time. So as I move this to the top and factor it, that's negative 8 plus 1. At this step, remove the common factor, and I'm left with b subtract 8 over 8. Number 23, I'm going to factor and do the reciprocal and change it to multiplying. So this is negative 9 and negative 6. Change it. This is negative 1 and negative 6. And now at this step, you can remove. So any factor on the bottom removes a factor on the top. And then what's left is your answer after you do the removing. Number 23. So I'm going to factor. I'm going to factor. So again, you should do this first and then press play. And then I'm going to do the reciprocal. Change it to multiplying. So I have k plus 2. I have k plus 7. Multiply it, and I have 3 over 10k. We're going to factor. Oh, what are the numbers? 10 and 3. What am I doing? I can do it. Then do the reciprocal, and I'm going to factor. So as I do that, now in this case you could write it as p minus 1 squared, but because we're removing factors, it's better to expand it and not write it as squared, so you eliminate properly. When I bring this to the denominator, that's p plus 10, p minus 1. So 1 eliminates, not both. P plus 10 eliminates, and then my answer. And again, I'm not going to expand it, so you can just leave it in factored form. So if it doesn't eliminate, what's left is your answer. All right, that's it. Mr. G Math over and out. Until next time. Next time we get to do adding and subtracting together. And I'm proud of you for doing your work. Till next time.